The history you were taught isn't wrong, but today you'll uncover a raw and brutally honest side of the past. Let's explore it together. Today, people are better informed about mental well-being and the appropriate treatments for various conditions. However, in the 19th century, understanding and care practices were far more limited. This image, taken in Germany in 1890, shows a patient undergoing a form of mental health treatment used at the time. While it's unclear how effective these methods truly were, they reflect the early, and often misguided, efforts to address mental illness. The next story reveals how fear and cruelty can torment someone for decades, even within their own home. The tragic story of Blanch Monier is one that few people know. Once a well-regarded young woman in her community, she was later confined in isolation by her aristocratic mother and brother for 26 years. The reasons behind this cruel act remain unclear. When authorities finally discovered her, Monier was in extremely poor health and had reportedly not seen sunlight since her confinement began. The Second World War revealed some of the darkest moments in human history. One major concern during the conflict was the potential use of chemical weapons and gas attacks, which posed serious risks to both civilians and military personnel. Out of precaution, even infants were required to wear gas masks. This photograph, taken in 1940, shows nurses testing newly designed gas masks for babies. Such images remind us of the difficult realities of war and its lasting impact on society. But war wasn't the only weapon of control. Sometimes belief systems were rewritten to serve power. The intersection of religion and power has been debated for centuries. During the era of the transatlantic slave trade, a version of the Bible was created for enslaved people in the Caribbean, edited to omit passages about freedom. This was used to promote obedience and reinforce the social order of the time. Today, discussions continue around how interpretations of religious texts can influence societal structures and progress. What's more dangerous, ignorance of history or deliberate distortion of it? This story blurs that line. Where do you stand? Some parts of history receive less attention in modern education, often because they reveal difficult truths about global powers. One such event is the Korean War, which, despite its profound impact, is less discussed today. This photo shows an Indian Army ambulance driver reportedly injured in the line of duty, captured here coping with the aftermath of a severe battlefield injury. Images like these remind us of the personal toll behind major historical events. Yet, of all the forgotten faces of war, few images are as chilling as the shadow of someone who simply vanished. This iconic image, taken just moments after the United States dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, serves as a powerful reminder of the devastating impact of war. Eyewitness accounts suggest that a man had been sitting at this spot in front of the Sumitomo Bank Company, waiting for it to open when the bomb struck. The intense heat and force of the blast reportedly left behind only a faint silhouette on the concrete, an enduring mark of that tragic moment in history. If a silhouette could freeze time, then thousands of small metal tags can speak for the unspeakable. Before exploring, I have a special 10-second request for all of you listening. If you can help me in any way, just hit the notification bell and hit that subscribe button. It helps this channel so much. And if you do that, I will do everything I can to make this show even better for you. Deal? This powerful image shows 58,300 dog tags representing U.S. service members who died during the Vietnam War. Displayed at the Harold Washington Library Center in Chicago, the installation stands as a solemn tribute to the lives lost. Each tag symbolizes a personal story, reflecting the lasting impact of war and the ongoing challenges of global conflict. But history isn't just made by wars and tragedies. Sometimes it's shaped by one man's outrageous climb into the clouds. In 1977, mountain climber George Willig successfully scaled the exterior of the World Trade Center's South Tower in one of the most daring stunts ever attempted. The climb took approximately 3.5 hours and ended with his arrest and a symbolic $1 fine. Aerial photographs offer a fascinating view of the world from above, giving us a bird's-eye perspective of our surroundings. This historic image, taken by a balloonist in October 1860, captures an aerial view of Boston, Massachusetts. It is now considered the oldest known aerial photograph ever taken. Now, shift your gaze from the skies to the ground, where history gets disturbingly human. In the early 20th century, indigenous people were publicly exhibited in the United States. In 1904, over 1,300 Filipinos were brought to perform their traditional lifestyles for spectators. This image from the Coney Island Zoo, along with another showing a young Filipino girl in an exhibit, highlights how such displays dehumanize participants. These photos reveal a painful and often overlooked part of history. If that makes you uncomfortable, what comes next might shock you: a rally that brought Nazi symbols to the heart of America. In 1939, a controversial Nazi rally organized by the German-American Bund took place at Madison Square Garden in New York City. More than 20,000 people attended the event, where Fritz Julius Kuhn served as a featured speaker. Held just 2 days before George Washington's birthday, the rally featured a large portrait of Washington displayed on stage. This historical image captures the significant turnout and the unsettling intersection of American symbols with extremist ideology. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, the discovery of something small, but infinitely heavy. Towards the end of World War II, U.S. troops liberated the Buchenwald concentration camp as Germany neared its defeat. Upon entering the site, soldiers discovered personal items such as watches, precious stones, eyeglasses, gold dental fillings, and wedding rings, the belongings of those who had perished there. This photograph, taken on May 5, 1945, shows thousands of recovered wedding rings. It remains one of the most haunting visual records of the immense human loss caused by the war. On August 8, 1926, approximately 30,000 members of the Ku Klux Klan marched down Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., in what became one of the most controversial public demonstrations in U.S. history. The event was documented in this widely circulated photograph, which continues to highlight the racial tensions and systemic segregation that characterized the era. At the time, such public displays faced little opposition, reflecting the broader social and governmental attitudes toward race and civil rights in early 20th century America. This rarely seen photograph of Adolf Hitler is believed to have been taken at an unknown date. According to some historical accounts, Hitler was reportedly displeased with how he appeared in the image and may have requested that it not be published. Despite this, the photograph eventually surfaced and is now part of the public historical record. And while that face might be familiar, the next image tells a quieter story, one of transformation under the weight of war. The devastating impact of war is often most powerfully conveyed through the eyes of the soldiers who experienced it firsthand. Soviet soldier Eugen Stanokatov was photographed on his way to the front lines during World War II, his expression reflecting youthful determination. However, upon his return in 1945, his appearance had changed, marked by a somber, reflective demeanor that suggested the emotional toll of what he had endured. But for many, there was no return. Only the echoes of survival from within walls built to break them. During World War I, soldiers from the London Scottish Regiment were photographed jumping into the air shortly before heading to the battlefield. Facing uncertainty about their return, they embraced a brief moment of joy and camaraderie. Captured in England in 1915, this photo reminds us that even in times of great hardship, people find ways to hold on to hope and humanity. Today, many countries around the world recognize and protect freedom of expression, including for members of the LGBTQ community. However, these rights were hard-won through the courage of early activists. In 1972, the LGBTQ community took a bold step forward by marching through the streets of Philadelphia in what is now recognized as the city's first gay pride rally, a powerful statement of visibility, unity, and resilience. And one of the most powerful weapons against stigma? A single touch that changed the world. This photograph of Princess Diana is considered one of the most iconic images of the British royal family. At a time when widespread fear and misinformation about HIV and AIDS dominated public perception, Diana was pictured shaking hands with an AIDS patient without wearing gloves. This powerful gesture helped challenge the stigma surrounding the disease and shifted global understanding and compassion toward those affected. Which photo hit you the hardest, and why do you think it's missing from the textbooks? Scroll down and let's compare notes. One of the most well-known stories from World War II is that of Anne Frank and her family. While hiding in an attic in Amsterdam, Anne documented her experiences in a diary that would later gain international recognition. This photograph shows Otto Frank, Anne's father, returning to the attic where the family had sought refuge from the Nazis. Tragically, he was the only member of the family to survive the war. This photograph captures the scale of the Allied offensive against Germany during the Second World War. It shows a large pile of 105mm artillery shells, reportedly left behind after just one day of bombardment. The sheer volume of munitions reflects the intensity of the campaign and the scale of the conflict. But even amidst the fire and steel, some heroes flew silently through the night with a whisper that terrified the enemy. The Second World War gave rise to many heroes and heroines, some of whom remain unsung. Captured in this iconic photograph is an elite team of Soviet female pilots known as the Night Witches. Their nickname reportedly originated from their nighttime bombing missions against German forces, which disrupted enemy operations and logistics. Their bravery and effectiveness left a lasting mark on the history of aerial warfare. And far from the front lines, another revolution brewed, this one led by women fighting for the right to choose. In 1979, the Iranian government implemented a law requiring women to wear the hijab in public. This led to widespread demonstrations across the country, as the law was enforced with significant authority. Individuals who did not comply reportedly faced strict penalties. One of the most notable events was a protest in Tehran, where more than 100,000 women took to the streets. To this day, it is regarded as one of the largest demonstrations in Iran's modern history. On January 25, 1945, the Auschwitz concentration camp in Nazi-occupied Poland was liberated by the Red Army. Before this, more than 1 million Jewish people had lost their lives at the camp, making it one of the most devastating sites of mass murder during the war. This photograph captures the relief and emotion on the faces of some of the newly liberated prisoners. Yet, even in the heart of democracy, there were places where no eyes were allowed until someone broke the rules. Many people may not know this, but cameras are prohibited in the United States Supreme Court while it is in session. However, in 1937, a woman reportedly concealed a camera in her handbag and captured what has become an iconic image of the court in session. To the best of public knowledge, this is one of only 2 known photographs ever taken during Supreme Court proceedings. If there's anything we can learn from the history of technological progress, especially in the field of mobility, it's that early safety standards were remarkably limited by today's benchmarks. Take, for example, the interior of this commercial airplane from the 1930s. By modern standards, it appears incredibly rudimentary and potentially unsafe. Fortunately, aviation regulations have improved dramatically since then. This historic photograph was taken shortly before the 1998 Omagh bombing, which resulted in the deaths of 29 people and left many others injured. What makes this image particularly striking is that the red Vauxhall Cavalier seen here was later identified as the vehicle containing the bomb. Fortunately, the man and child pictured were among those who survived the tragic event. And while chaos reigned abroad back home, the call for help grew louder, answered by those willing to give everything. In 1918, the Red Cross organized a fundraiser to support a medical outreach organization in Birmingham, Alabama. The goal was to help sustain their efforts to save the lives of as many soldiers as possible. This photograph captures the nurses and officers who participated in the event. If you're familiar with American history, you know that the era of the Great Depression was one of the most difficult periods the nation has faced. Employment opportunities were scarce, the cost of living was high, and many people struggled to obtain even the most basic necessities. One poignant photograph that illustrates the severity of the time shows a young man holding a sign, seeking support from anyone able to help provide for his family. And as some fought to survive, others were challenging norms, one swimsuit at a time. The subject of women's rights is now more prominent than ever, but that wasn't always the case. This photograph of Annette Kellerman, taken in 1907, captures a moment of protest against laws at the time that restricted women from wearing fitted one-piece bathing suits. She was later arrested for what was then considered public indecency. If this video made you question anything you thought you knew about history, go ahead and like it. It helps others find the truth too. This well-known photograph was taken in a Belgian coal mine in the year 1900. It highlights the extremely difficult and hazardous conditions that many miners faced during that era. Unfortunately, similar labor conditions still exist in parts of the world today, reminding us that there is still much progress to be made in ensuring safe and humane working environments globally. And then, there are images born in the heart of catastrophe, the kind that almost didn't survive at all. April 26, 1986, marks the Chernobyl disaster, one of the most significant nuclear accidents in history. This early photograph, taken shortly after the explosion by Kiev-based photographer Igor Sien, captures the devastation. Of all the images he took that day, this was the only one to survive the effects of radiation. Nikola Tesla remains one of the most influential inventors in history. While many of his ideas were unconventional for the time, his unique vision often placed him at odds with the scientific mainstream and made it difficult to gain widespread support. Still, he pursued his work with determination and left a lasting legacy through his groundbreaking inventions. This photograph, taken in 1943, is believed to be the last image of Tesla before his passing. But genius takes many forms, some logical, some downright bizarre. The next photo? It's Dinner with Danger. In the 1920s, an unusual attraction called the California Alligator Farm in Los Angeles welcomed visitors willing to dine near live alligators. This photograph captures the surreal moment as a few guests enjoyed a meal surrounded by trained reptiles. It's hard to imagine such an idea taking off today, but it certainly reflects the unique spirit of past entertainment. This photograph, taken in 1972, shows the twin towers of the World Trade Center, with sunlight filtering through their incomplete structure. The image offers a striking view of the city and conveys a sense of calm that contrasts with the complex dynamics of urban life at the time. Few people today remember the iconic Cliff House, once perched on the headland above the cliffs just north of Ocean Beach. This photograph is one of the rare visual records that captures its former appearance. Taken in 1907, the image predates the fire that later destroyed the building. And finally, we arrive at a moment frozen in time, the last words of a soldier, captured forever by the hands of mercy. This solemn scene from World War I shows a Red Cross nurse recording the final words of a gravely wounded soldier. Images like this offer a powerful reminder of the human cost of war and the lasting impact it continues to have on families around the world. If you could add one untold moment to the history books, what would it be? Drop your rewrite of history in the comments below. If you found today's video interesting, don't hesitate to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Your support is very important to us. Be sure to check out the next video appearing on your screen. You're sure to love the content we bring. Please leave a comment about which country you'd like us to explore next. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.
Thanks for being with us. Leave a comment, like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button for more exciting videos. See you next time.